America is a nation of builders. We built the Empire State Building in just 1 year.
It's actually constructed in 1 year and 45 days, just to be precise.
Isn't it a disgrace that it can now take 10 years just to get a minor permit approved for the building of a simple road?
Government studies say the permit approval time ranges from 4.6 to 6.6 years. So even though it's not 10 years, it's 5 to 6 to 7 years to get a permit. Hey, can I build a building here? Wait, 6 years. So it doesn't take 10 years, but it does take 4, 5, 6, 7 years, which is way too many years.
Rebuild our industries. It is also time to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure.
So apparently our Dolce, the Fuhrer, doesn't seem to understand freedom of speech. He doesn't understand America.
His reverence for those who have served our nation reminds us of why we salute our flag, why we put our hands on our hearts for the Pledge of Allegiance, and why we proudly stand for the national anthem.
The bullshit and the lies, the lack of love for this nation. He don't have any patriotism. He doesn't love freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is you protect unpopular speech. And, I don't know how many times I had to say STFU during the, how many times I'm going to have to say STFU during the SOTU. But he doesn't understand freedom of speech. He says to Kaepernick, he uses the State of the Union address to bully Kaepernick. Again, we're bringing Kaepernick back up. How did Kaepernick come in to this conversation? The great thing about America is that we have freedom of speech, which means you don't have to stand your ass up for that national anthem. And the NFL, it was political to begin with. The NFL players never went out there and pledged their allegiance to the war-mongering elite until 2008. So actually the NFL players were paid, then it was political, by the Defense Department to come out of the locker rooms so they could put on a nice little show for the American people and increased recruitment. So it's been political. It's been political for the past 10 years. Now you say don't be political. You've been political. Fuhrer El Dolce. So El Dolce Fuhrer. El Dolce Fuhrer says, fuck you, Kaepernick, for giving a damn about black folks, for caring about black people. And when was kneeling ever disrespectful? I've never known anybody to ever kneel and they said, you know what, damn you, in any instance. In any instance. So there is genuflect in church. So when you go into church, Catholicism, right before you sit down in the pew, you take a knee, and then you do the sign of the cross. That's a genuflection. You're kneeling, you do the sign of the cross. There's several times when you sit and you stand and you kneel. You kneel in reverence. When you give a wedding proposal, you kneel. And you say, I love you, honey. Will you be mine forever? When you kneel, it's a sign of respect, not disrespect, respect. The only time when I ever see kneeling happen. Kneeling only comes after great reverence, after great respect for your spouse, for your loved one, for your religion. In Catholicism, I guess it was reverence for the wooden pews. Thank you, wooden pews, for existing and sitting here. In Marsbachult, back in Westphalia, where the Gripschovers were from, they actually used to rent the pews out. So the Catholic Church says, you know what? You got reverence for that pew? Okay, then how much money can I make off of this? So kneeling, at no point in time have I ever seen anybody kneel. If anybody ever came up to me and they kneeled and they said, blah, 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 I would take it to at first be respectful. It could be a trick, right? But somebody came up to me and kneeled, that's a respectful thing. They're being there's no way you can misinterpret that.
Tonight, I want to talk about what kind of future we're going to have and what kind of a nation we're going to be.
Was his presidential speech. This was when our Dolce was going to get us in unity and not, be so damn divisive. He says neo-Nazis are good people. Neo-Nazis has a right to free speech. KKK, just fine and dandy. Wear your hoods wherever the hell you like. It took him 2 days. He finally condemned the KKK and the Nazis, but he never condemned the Confederates. So the Confederate flag, those trading, treasonous, rebelling, anti-American pieces of shit, they're allowed to wave a different flag. They're allowed to have a different nationality. They're allowed to have loyalty to an entire different nation. He wants to defend the Confederates' freedom of speech, but not black people's reverence. Confederates, the Confederate flag says you deserve to be a fucking slave.
All of us together as one team, one people, and one American family can do anything.
When it comes to the KKK and the Confederates, nothing but respect. You get all the freedom of speech that you deserve in the entire world. But as soon as somebody takes a knee, and then the entire House, the entire government, the entire American government doesn't understand freedom of speech. They don't understand freedom of speech. So not only do you stand up for the national anthem, but you stand up when you're oppressing an entire nation, when you're happy about the oppression you're putting on others. So Kaepernick is respectful, and he's saying, hey, here's this conversation, this shit has happened to me, it's bullshit, but he's not allowed to say a fucking word about it. Meanwhile, Confederate, who never lived through slavery, doesn't know any of that shit, gets to go around saying you deserve to die, and then that's acceptable. That's bullshit. If anything, free speech, the line where free speech stops is when it becomes threatening. When it becomes threatening, and that's what a Confederate flag is. Kaepernick threatens nobody. A counterpoint, he brings in this kid, Preston Sharp, 12-year-old, who probably was just doing something nice, but now he's making it seem like Preston Sharp is the most brilliant 12-year-old boy in all the land. He put American flags at the grave sites of the soldiers. So instead of kneeling for the American national anthem, instead of kneeling out of respect and showing tons of reverence, you're not allowed to do that, but you're allowed to put flags at the graves of soldiers. And hell, put the Confederate flag, right? I mean, are we waving to the American flag or the Confederate flag? I can't tell with these Jeff Sessions, anti-marijuana, right-wing fascist fuckers. But Trump is saying that Preston Sharp started a movement because you can't be like Kaepernick. You got to put...
This, in fact, is our new American moment. There has never been a better time to start living the American dream.
Hate on Preston Sharp. I think what he did is, a probably decent, nice little thing, but he wants to shit on our thing. So, to be honest, 40,000 flags, 40,000 pieces of fabric he put all over the place, so that's littering, that all those flags stay right there. And really the whole thing, I'm not 100% on cemeteries. Why do we have cemeteries? We save the body and the bones of those who have dearly departed. Why are we doing that? They're dead. They're never going to come back because we're egotistical. If anything, use that to put into the ground for the circle of life. But instead, we're going to stop the circle of life, right? Not going to be fertilizer for the plants and trees. Nope, we're going to just put our body inside of a box, bury it 6 feet deep, and then just let the bones rot there inside a wooden box. That's why are we wasting land? Why do we do this? Is a weird...
We all share the same home, the same heart, the same destiny, and the same great American flag.
There's no foul play, cremate me. I don't need to get life insurance. Society is going to handle my body. Are you going to just let my body sleep out in the middle of the gutter? Nobody spend a penny on me. If anything, this is This is my will. Cremate me. If there's no foul play, cremate me. Do not spend thousands of dollars for some bullshit funeral, paying thousands of dollars for some bullshit coffin and thousands of dollars for some bullshit piece of land to put my body in. Burn me. Throw me in the damn oven. So I don't understand, he's littering. He's putting all these pieces of fabric all over the place. And is it an American flag or Confederate flag? If it's a Confederate flag, that means you're a treasonous, traitorous piece of shit who wants black people and Americans to die. That's what the Confederate flag means. Fuck you, America. We want to form our own nation.
So to every citizen watching at home tonight,
is also something that most people don't understand about the American flag. So he goes around putting all these little pieces of fabric, by these headstones, these marble headstones of those who have dearly departed. Now, did any of those flags hit the ground? If they're American flags and they touch the ground, if they're American flags and they're soiled and they are disrespected in any way, shape, or form, you're supposed to have the utmost reverence, fold it up in triangles, raise it, bring it down every day. There's all these different customs and all these. So if it ever gets soiled, if it ever falls on the ground and it gets dirty, out of respect, you burn it. You light it on fire. And that's the great thing about America. The great thing about America is we're allowed to say, fuck you, America. We're allowed to burn the American flag. We have the right to free speech. We have the right to free speech. That's what this country.
no matter where you've been or where you've come from, this is your time.
What makes this country great? That we have the freedom to speak. That's our first right, besides assembly and petitioning, and the right to bear arms, and the right to not have soldiers quartering up in your homes. So those are our rights. Those are our freedoms. And that's what makes this country great, is that we have the freedom to speak. And so, it's ridiculous what he is doing. We saved the bones of the deceased. Who the hell hangs out in a cemetery? This kid just hangs around the cemetery all day long. It's a little creepy. It's a little weird. He's littering. He's throwing little pieces of fabric all over the place. If it fell on the ground, he's not being respectful, and he's not burning the flag. So he has no idea how to treat the American flag. And then the last point I want to make, isn't Trump the one who said soldiers who get captured aren't heroes? John McCain's not a hero because he got captured.
If you work hard, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in America, then you can dream anything. You can be anything. And together, we can achieve absolutely anything.
What happens if you die? If you die, does that make you, a good soldier? According to Trump, if you get captured, you're not a good soldier. You don't want soldiers who get captured. You want soldiers who do the capture, and you want the soldiers who do the killing. So the soldiers who die makes me think of George C. Scott in 1970 when he was playing Patton. He says, you don't win a war by dying for your country. You win a war by making the other dumb, poor bastard die for his. So they're not heroes. If you get captured and you're not a hero, then if you get killed, you're not a hero. You didn't win the war by dying for your country. You win the war by making the other dumb, poor bastards die for theirs. So I'm sick of all Trump's lies and the bullshit. Even with the extra shiny lip gloss for Joe Kennedy III, he still came across as more genuine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
86% of Americans are for the Dreamers. 86%. Not 50, not 51, not a barely majority, but 86%. The overwhelming majority. Only 14% are against the 800,000 Dreamers. And why are they called Dreamers? Because that's all they got is a dream. A dream to be allowed to be a citizen. I can understand some people who've been looked over say, why are you caring about them and not me? And that's true, too. We need to give a damn about ourselves. $700 billion in the war, and yet we don't have $70 billion for education, health care, child care. But 86% of Americans are for Dreamers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute privilege to join you all tonight. We are here in Fall River, Massachusetts, a proud American city. An American city built by immigrants.